Ocarina of Time is a really good game from the same company that would go on to make Wii Music 10 years later. So yeah, this is a good game. Some might even say the greatest game who ever lived! For years it's just kind of been this accepted fact of life. Ocarina of Time is
the besterest.
It has been for 20 years now, and it's not likely that anything will ever really dethrone it. And that creates problems. No piece of media should ever have to live up to such insurmountable hype. Once you're at the top, everyone just kind of resents you. Like, people ask me, yo dude, what's your favorite musical? And I have to be all like, okay, I know it's a cliche answer, but Hamilton? And then suddenly, I'm some normie trash dude who has no real taste in musicals. I can't help it, man. I love obscure musicals. I just love Hamilton more. It's just better to me. I don't think we should be ashamed to give cliche answers when people ask us what our favorite pieces of media are. Because you want to know something? Even after all the games I've played, and even after all the negativity and resentment I've seen building up for this game within the Zelda fanbase, Ocarina of Time still remains one of my favorite games of all time. Don't worry, I'll give you a more specific ranking than that by the end of the video. Anyway, you might be thinking, oh wow, Shafe, you're just blinded by nostalgia because you grew up playing it as a kid, you brain-dead moron. You'll never eat lunch in this town again. First of all, rude. Second, actually, no. Even though we share a birth year, I didn't grow up with this game, and it wasn't my first Zelda. My first Zelda was Oh, gee, no, I don't want to say it.
Say it. Say it. Say it.
Skyward Sword. But I played Ocarina a month later, so calm down. And from the moment I first picked up Ocarina of Time for the 3DS, since I didn't own a classic controller, my Wii wasn't even connected to the internet for me to get it on Virtual Console. Anyway, I was immediately hooked. It really didn't take me long at all to figure out the reasons why this is considered the greatest game ever made. So now it's my civic duty on this momentous 20th anniversary to relay my findings to you all. Here's why Ocarina of Time is one of the greatest video games of all time. And yes, still the greatest journey you can experience in the land of Hyrule. Ocarina of Time is, above all else, a story about growing up. The gameplay and mechanics so expertly tied this theme into the game, obviously, but let's just take a look at the story as is. Link is known in the Kokiri Forest as the boy without a fairy. Much like your typical Disney protagonist, he's different from everyone else. There's somewhere else he belongs. There's no real danger in this whimsical forest populated by your friends and this asshole. It's a fun place for you to run around in, get lost, support your local economy, you know, fun kid stuff. However, the game makes the main threat explicitly clear through the first dungeon, which is a little bit creepier and more dangerous. It's a simple yet elegant introduction to the types of challenges you'll face later on. It teaches you important life lessons, like don't use this spider web as a trampoline. It doesn't work like that. You're too chunky and you're just gonna break it, and yeah, that. You just broke it and died. Good job. Then you meet the boss and
It's a Goma.
that's a little more creepy. Up until now, you're fighting cute tree dudes and little spider guys, and it's adorable. This is a bit of a step up and a nice indication of the scarier things you might encounter later on. But whatever. He's dead now. You're a hero! Consume his heart and get out of there. You just saved the Deku Tree! Oh. No, you didn't. This is a little bit more serious than you thought. Ganondorf, or whatever his name was, he really does mean business. There's a darkness on the horizon. And it's up to you to stop it. Oh my god, look at this field! I can talk to cows, I can fight skeleton dudes, I can get a spooky mask. Now this is pod racing. This is the point where you kind of forget about all that evil junk. You're a young boy going on one super fun adventure. You meet Zelda and she's all like, we gotta stop Ganon. And you gotta help us. And it's like this cute game the two of you are playing. Ganondorf's the bad guy, and the two of you are gonna save the day and prove all the adults wrong. So you have fun. You go learn a song, meet a dancing rock troll, and you rescue a cute fish girl from the clutches of a
Monster's belly!
You did it! You got the magic stones. The magic stones shimmered and spiraled and swirled high into the sky. So now you've got the stones, you're an official Goron brother, and you're engaged to this fish lady, I guess. Okay. Hopefully we won't have to follow up on that ever. Man, this is a fun adventure. I can't wait to see Zelda and... Oh. Hey, where are you guys going? Okay. Hey, hi Zelda. What's up? Oh, hey, what's that? Okay. It's a little wet. Maybe I'll get it later. Hey, what's that ominous sound? Oh no.
You tell Arthur Reed that he'll never eat lunch in this town again.
That's not good. I thought we were just having fun. Like, this is just a game we were playing, right? It's not like he was actually gonna... Okay. So you do what Zelda asks. You put the stones on the pedestals, grab the Master Sword, and...
That was a mistake.
That little game the two of you were playing has had serious consequences. You were kids. You didn't understand what you were doing. Now it's time for you to grow up and face the consequences of your actions. So you step outside. How? How did it go this wrong? I'll never forget the feeling of first walking out into the destroyed Hyrule Castle town, not quite knowing what to expect, but then being greeted with this. The world has ended. Ganondorf won. For the past 7 years, he's won. All you can really do is pick up the pieces. I think Matthew Matosis perfectly explains why the contrast between the child and adult worlds is so brilliant, so instead of trying to paraphrase him, I'm just going to show you exactly what he says.
In most action-adventure style games that revolve around saving the world, you're given some idyllic place that needs protection, or a post-apocalyptic world where the struggle of the people compels you to try and help them. Either of these scenarios can only be so effective because we're left wondering about what exactly it is we're trying to prevent, or what exactly it is we're trying to restore. As soon as you walk into Hyrule Town 7 years on, Ocarina of Time has answered both of these questions. You have an immediate comparison in your mind of what Hyrule should look like and what it does look like now.
Ocarina of Time handles this so well that I think it might have spoiled me a little bit. Like, I got to the end of Skyward Sword where something very bad and spoilery happens in the past. And I was afraid to go back to the present and see how this affected the world. Like, oh god, is Skyloft destroyed? Is everyone dead? Is all lost? Oh, no, everything's fine. Cool. Anyway, your journey through the remains of Hyrulean civilization continues. Everything you knew and took for granted is now gone. The sacred Kokiri forest is decaying and infested with monsters. The Gorons have all been rounded up and imprisoned. Zora's domain is completely frozen over and the lake is dried up. And Kakariko Village is more of a refugee town now. Oh yeah, and creepy Luigi guy runs the ranch now. I've always been really uncomfortable with the idea that Melon is alone on this ranch with that guy. Like, good job Nintendo, I didn't think I could get more uncomfortable after this, but you found a way. There was such an air of whimsy to your childhood. Everywhere you looked, there was some quirky character or cute cutscene that would keep you engaged and wanting to explore more. The world was this wonderful, beautiful place where the possibilities were only limited by your imagination. And then when you saved and quit, the game would always start you off in your house at the Kokiri Forest, reassuring you that no matter how far your journey takes you, you'll always have a home waiting for you. Adults don't get that luxury. The Kokiri Forest is not your home now. Even after ridding it of monsters, you still don't belong there anymore. And it's not clear if you ever really did. There are no safe havens anymore, and you have no time to rest. Now when you save and quit, the game starts you off at the Temple of Time, because you have a quest to complete and an evil to vanquish. These are your adult responsibilities, and you have no choice. I'll admit, it would have been cool to have sort of a resistance to Ganondorf's rule, kind of like the one in Twilight Princess. Like, honestly, it makes no sense why there's a resistance in that game, but not this one. But at least you have Sheik, your mysterious yet trusted ally who comes armed with an elegant harp. Every time I hear Sheik's theme, I just feel so safe. It evokes feelings of reuniting with an old friend and rekindling that bond you once had. Sheik's words are so powerful and have given me pause to reflect on numerous occasions. With Sheik's help, you traverse this twisted world, making your way through dungeon after dungeon. While those first 3 dungeons you explored as a child were short and simple, these labyrinths are complex, intricate, filled with boss keys and even greater puzzles and enemies than you've ever imagined. Not once do you ever question your motivation to pull through, however. You can restore this world as long as you continue your righteous quest, and remember if the water level has to be on medium or high. God damn it, which room am I in again? I also think these dungeons are some of the most brilliant ones in the entire Zelda series. I mean, you got the Forest Temple. Literally, when I think of Zelda dungeons, this is the first thing that comes to mind. It's just perfect. This is that perfect movie versus perfect scene thing from the Shrek 2 review all over again. You can't make a perfect game, but you can make a perfect dungeon. This is a perfect dungeon. Maybe my favorite in the series. It's up there with the Ancient Cistern and Stone Tower Temple. That's some pretty good company. This dungeon is just so frightening yet so engaging, and while I still consider this the best dungeon in the game, I'd hardly call the other dungeons disappointing by comparison. The Fire Temple is also atmospheric, yet really fun to explore at the same time, and it's also a great example of Link actively setting the world back in order. Look at this, you're saving the entire Goron race! All 7 of them! It just feels so good to actively be a hero and undo Ganondorf's evil actions by directly saving people. Then Link goes to the Water Temple, and I love this place, you guys. I can't hold it in any longer. The puzzles here are so intricate and so well thought out that I always look forward to it. Coincidentally, I also always play the 3DS version. Yeah, the N64 Water Temple is probably a nightmare. I wouldn't know. I've never even attempted it. It's amazing how a simple fix of mapping the iron boots to a button instead of a select menu can completely change the quality of an entire area of a game. But yeah, play the 3DS version and you'll be fine. I am inclined to mention, however, that despite the amazing atmosphere and brilliant puzzles and that awesome part with the waterfall and I love it, the boss fights here are pretty terrible. The build up to Dark Link is so good, but the payoff is incredibly weak once you figure out that slashing at him is useless and you should just use Din's Fire. And Morpha is actually maybe the worst boss in Zelda history, I think. The other bosses are pretty great though. Those first 3 are generic, sure, but Phantom Ganon, Volvagina, the world's top-ranked Donkey Kong Jungle Beat player, and Little Miss Fusion over here all make great use of some creative setups and fun mechanics. Not the best Zelda bosses, but certainly all iconic and fun. Am I missing a boss or 2 somewhere? I don't know. Maybe there's one in this mini dungeon I forgot about. No one home. Wow, what are all those hands?
What the fuck is that?
So yeah, you think escape from the nightmares of present-day Hyrule is a possibility now that you can go back in time? That's cute. Now submit to this horrifying abomination already. There's no more whimsical childhood for you to go back to. You've seen the horrors the future has waiting for you, so going back to your own time isn't solace anymore. It isn't safe. You can never go back to your childhood after what you've experienced. The evil you've witnessed has shattered your perception of the world. This isn't some cute game you can play anymore, and this creature waiting for you at the bottom of the well is the personification of that idea. He's the evil that's been lurking in the world this whole time, the evil you were shielded from growing up. He will never truly go away until you seek him out and face him. And thus, with your hopes of a normal, peaceful childhood seemingly dashed for good, you return to the hellscape that awaits this realm. But you're not alone. You also encounter some familiar faces, friends you've met on your journey and kinda sorta left behind for the past 7 years. Yeah, you were in a Master Sword-induced coma, sure, but that meant that you weren't around to protect them. You couldn't save Saria. You weren't there to defend your sworn brother Darunia. You left your fiancé hanging for 7 years. Come on, man, don't do that. It's no coincidence that every single sage is someone you met as a child and formed a deep connection with. Some deeper than others, mind you. Anyway, Link Between Worlds is a fantastic Zelda game, but the sages are kind of a joke. You barely get to know any of them other than Irene, and she's lucky I remember her name because I haven't played this one in a while. But anyway, once these guys become sages, you're like, who cares? You don't have any connection to most of them. But these are your friends. It means something that they gave their life for you and are actively fighting alongside you to combat evil. And yeah, I subscribe to the theory that all the sages are dead. I mean, these guys are clearly mourning, and they're floating spirits in the credits who watch everything from on high instead of joining the party. And, I mean, Nabooru got murdered, guys. It's pretty obvious what's going on here. Back to the temples, though. The Shadow Temple is a sadistic labyrinth of twisted hallways, horrifying decor, and the skeletal mermaid boat designed to take wayward spirits to the other side.
It'll take you to the other side.
This temple is the perfect example of how atmospheric Ocarina of Time's locations are. It commits to the theme of horror and continues to find new creative ways to expand on that theme. Every other location is like this. Kokiri Forest is full of fun and bright colors, Hyrule Castletown is medieval and whimsical, Zora's Domain is very pristine, dignified, and, dare I say it, shiny! There's a lot of detail that goes into each and every one of these locations, but by far the single greatest attribute of Ocarina of Time's atmosphere and world is, say it with me now, the music. Right from the somber ballad on the title screen, you know you're in for something special, artistic, and probably magical. There's too many good tunes to list. It would be foolish to attempt it. But I'm gonna do it anyway, of course. The shop theme! It's so catchy and it feels like you're about to barter with this dude. It's just like, right here, right now. I put the offer out. Lon Lon Ranch is so chilling, relaxing, and maxing all cool. I could listen to Romani sing all day. I mean, Melon. Oh god, I'm a fraud. Cut to the next song. The Lost Woods needs no introduction. It tells me everything I need to know. I'm lost. I'm in the woods. But they're not as scary woods, they're a fun woods. Look at my buddy, the Skull Kid. He's not secretly plotting my murder because an evil mask is gonna possess him or because I made it into Ultimate and he didn't. Nah, man, it's cool. We're just gonna party. The Temple of Time and Chamber of Sages are beautiful. The Forest Temple is so perfectly unnerving. The Fire Temple is... Actually, you know, I'm not even gonna get into that one. As Chris said in the Schaffrillas classic Prayer for a Balloon.
This isn't a religious channel.
And then we have this soundtrack's crown jewel. This isn't right. Gerudo Valley is one of the greatest compositions in gaming history. Every time I hear it, I'm just pumped and ready for adventure. I also like stealth a lot, and I love saving people, so the Gerudo compound is my jam, bro. And after a soul trek through the desert, you find the Spirit Temple, which makes expert use of child and adult Link. Includes some great mirror-based puzzles, and is overall just one of my favorite dungeons in Zelda. I feel like I've said that a lot in this video. I can't help it. These dungeons are just the best, like I said. So after you endure hardship after hardship, struggle after struggle, you finally free the souls of all 6 sages and you return to the Temple of Time. And this is where you learn that- oh, hold on. Spoiler warning! If you've never played a single video game in your life, Shrek was Zelda the whole time!
Oh, really?
Wow, remember when I said, every time I hear Sheik's theme, I just feel so safe. It evokes feelings of reuniting with an old friend and rekindling that bond you once had.
Wow! What do you know?
Anyway, I know the Temple of Time is this safe haven and stuff, but like, you guys are right next door to Ganondorf. Maybe keep it down with all the flashing lights and such.
Will you two shut up?
He might notice you and yeah, that's what I was worried about. After 7 years of searching, Zelda is mine at last. Dearest Link. I always knew you'd be of use to me one day. What? One thing I never got is why Gandalf just doesn't do the pink crystal thing on Link and Zelda. He needs all 3 pieces of the Triforce, right? Why not just get it done sooner? Oh well, I guess we wouldn't have a final dungeon then. And what a final dungeon it is. With the help of all the sages, you take down the barriers blocking your approach to Ganondorf one by one, going through a few final puzzles based on the dungeons you've explored, and also win for some reason. You make your way up the stairs to Ganondorf with a sinister organ theme getting louder and louder as you ascend his castle. All the suffering the world has endured, all the challenges you've overcome, all the horrors this vile man has inflicted upon the realm you held so dear, it ends today. So you finally make it to the top of Ganon's staircase and... Damn, was that you playing the organ the whole time? Good work, man. That's actually really good.
I don't understand. That guy's talented. He doesn't have to work blue.
Now your fight with Ganondorf begins, and if I learned anything about this guy from the Phantom fight, it's that he sucks at Mario Tennis. So you beat him, he vomits, and you say to yourself, wow, that was moderately decent. Good thing it's over. Wow, he does mean business. Time to escape! The castle crumbles behind you as you catch your breath. It's all over. Or is it? No. It can't be. We beat him. Ganon. No additional titles like the other bosses. Nothing else is needed. Nothing else matters. This abomination, this manifestation of pure hatred born anew in a cycle with no end, will never cease his torment of your realm. It ends here. This is the only area I think the N64 version far outclasses the original. It makes for a much darker, more intense and dramatic fight. And despite the simplicity of the gameplay, nothing else in the entire Zelda series even comes close to matching the sheer impact of this climactic battle. After a while, Zelda is able to stun him, and you deliver the final blow. It's over. It's over. All the horrors of your journey have been conquered. It's finally over. Zelda admits to her mistakes and sends you back home, where you are supposed to be, the way you are supposed to be. You say goodbye as she plays that familiar lullaby on the Ocarina of Time, and so ends your journey. I've talked about Ocarina of Time for so long, and only now, at the very end of my retrospective, do I even mention the Ocarina of Time. That wasn't my intention going into this script, but I think it perfectly summarizes my feelings on this game and its reception. In all honesty, the namesake of this game, Zelda's precious blue ocarina, is a minute detail. There are a lot of minute details: the seemingly pointless 100 Skulltula side quest, the pointless ice arrows hiding behind the Gerudo training grounds, the fact that you throw Saria's ocarina in the garbage after getting this shiny new blue one, and of course, Navi, Kebra Gebra, and the Water Temple. These details, and countless others, are often pointed at by people who argue that this game is overrated and doesn't deserve its status as the supposed greatest game of all time. But I feel like the people who criticize this game, and maybe even the people who praise it, are missing the big picture. Ocarina of Time was revolutionary, yes. And in addition, the game is fun. That's pretty important. But I think the most vital aspect of this game's longevity, the thing that makes it such a masterpiece even to this day, is the implementation of its story. Link's journey from an innocent boy sheltered from the cold, harsh realities of the world, to a young hero in training on a lighthearted quest, to a man tasked with defeating an incomprehensible evil despite still being a kid at heart. It's profound and utterly tragic. Many of us want to return to our childhoods, where we saw the world through brighter, more forgiving eyes. But our experiences as adults change us. Even if we had the opportunity to be a kid again, would we really enjoy it after knowing what this cruel world is capable of? Link has been given the opportunity to return to his childhood, but he can never truly go back. He's been forever hardened by his experience fighting evil, and there's no childhood for him to return to. Maybe that's why he left Hyrule in search of Navi, because Navi was the one person on this journey throughout time with him, the only person who could ever truly understand what he went through. It's a grim, ambiguous ending for Link, and it's especially grim to consider that the 7 long years of Ganondorf's rule will never be erased. And yet, hope never died. The world is ready to heal, and seeing the people you've met over the course of your journey in such high spirits even after all the sorrow they experienced is cathartic. No, it's more than that. It's life-affirming. But the best part comes when the light of the sages envelops Hyrule, and they arrive at the cliff, overlooking the world that they helped save, as the music swells in the most beautiful way imaginable. This is where the impact of your journey finally hits you. You accomplished the impossible, and restored peace to a broken world. Finally, Link returns to his own time, and Navi flies off. I always interpreted this as her promise to the Great Deku Tree, her purpose being fulfilled. Link is no longer the boy without a fairy. He's the hero of time, the one who saved this realm, and the bells toll to signify his accomplishment, cementing this story as a true legend. Telling a compelling story through countless cutscenes with occasional player input here and there is one thing, but letting you live through a compelling, emotionally rich story by incorporating it into the gameplay, that's on another level entirely. And it is for this reason, and so many more, that The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time is my second favorite video game of all time. With that being said, what's my favorite video game of all time? Well, remember when I said this was the best journey you could experience in the land of Hyrule? Maybe we'll talk about that one day. After all, a party need not last forever. Whether a party be forever or merely for a short time, that is up to you. With that, please excuse me. I've got to go dig for some emotional resonance in Shrek the Third for my review. Yeah, and you thought Link's quest was hard.
But despite my evil look and my temper and my heart, I've always yearned to be a cut to feel it.